Hi, I'm Lucas,
And I'm Brian.
and this is the Quacks Podcast. Hey, welcome to the podcast.
Hello. Welcome
How's-
back.
Yep. How's it going, Brian?
It's going well, man. I'm just watching your dog bounce back and forth like a ping pong contest.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. We were trying to start this podcast, and the dog will not leave us alone. He won't go lay down.
But he's so incredibly sweet and cute that you just can't even. He's one of those dogs you see him, you just have to pet him.
That's right. Go, Davey.
But not right now.
So, yeah, we got a podcast. We should probably do that. How's it going, man? Anything new?
I've been hoofing it a lot. I've having some car issues on and off over the last month.
Dude, that's so funny because last week I got in a little fender bender. Remember?
That's right.
What happened?
Let's
to
continue the trend. Well, here's the number one thing. I luckily work. The store is right near where I live, so it's literally like a 5-minute walk.
Yeah.
I've realized I save money. I'm walking a lot more. I'm doing urban hiking, which has revitalized some of my hiking experience. So I'll put on my pack like I'm going to go out hiking, and I just cruise around the neighborhood.
Urban hiking?
Urban hiking. I blare my ABBA, and I just get a little crunk in the street. Is crunk still a thing?
I don't think so, man.
Well, that's why the neighbors are looking at me strange. But it's been a good experience. I've saved a lot of money, and I'm taking off some pounds at the same time,
Nice.
especially now that it's getting warmer.
Nice.
So it's been good, man. Other than the fact that I don't have a car. I mean, I do have a car. It's just not functioning, and I don't want to throw any more money at it. One of those deals.
Yeah, I hear you.
So
At some point, you don't want to fix it anymore because you're fixing it more than it's worth, and so...
completely. And I had put $1,000 into it 2 weeks before it just did its latest stunt. So no moss.
Gotcha.
New wheels on the horizon.
Cool, man.
Yeah, man. That's what's going on. What's up with you?
Nothing much. Chugging along.
Chugging along.
Yeah, not much to share.
Well, I said you do look well rested. I showed up and I was like, wow, man, you look like you just got back from the Bahamas.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Well, I have been getting sun.
That's what it is.
Yeah, so that's probably what it is.
Goes a long way.
Thanks.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate that. So what are we doing this week? We're doing Endocrine Disrupting Chemicals.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, this is weight loss part 3. And I think this one's going to be a little bit longer. We'll see. So anyway, there was a news article from Mercola. It was kind of in the beginning of May. And this was on EDCs, or endocrine disrupting chemicals. And I thought, this would be great for the weight loss because EDCs, they're basically chemicals that are very similar to hormones that we naturally create, like estrogen or thyroid or different androgens. And because they are similar, they can mess with the development in children, mess with your immune system, fertility, really basically any system in your body they can interfere with.
That's not good.
Not great. The World Health Organization published a report in 2012 and said the effects of EDCs can lead to obesity, infertility, learning and memory difficulties, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. So pretty much everything.
All bad things.
All bad things, yep. And with EDCs, part of why I want to talk about this is you're kind of on your own with EDCs. They are new enough in our civilization that knowledge of them is not widespread. And so we don't have the practice in place to deal with them. On an individual product basis, there are definitely regulations around EDCs.
So they are avoidable.
Yes, they are, for sure, to a certain extent.
Okay.
On an individual, like I was saying, on an individual product, there are regulations, but there's the amount of products that you use that have EDCs in your life, that's up to you.
Right, but they're labeled as such, so if you were looking, you could avoid them if necessary.
Kinda. You kind of have to know what you're looking for.
Oh, boy.
And I've never seen a case either of like going to the doctor and them testing your hormone levels and saying, oh, there's something off. You might need to change the amount of EDCs you're being exposed to. It's just not there. Maybe there are doctors out, but I've never seen one to do that. So you're kind of on your own with what you expose yourself to.
Okay.
Yeah. And you really don't want a lot of exposure to these things.
Doesn't sound like it.
No. In 2015, the Endocrine Society, and I'm not really familiar with that organization, but they said that evidence continues to get stronger each year for the causal connection between EDCs and diseases later in life. The strongest evidence is found for obesity, diabetes, female and male reproductive dysfunction, thyroid problems, prostate problems, and neurodevelopment and neuroendocrine system problems.
Once again, all pretty bad things.
Yeah, all pretty bad. A lot of suffering there. A different report in 2015 estimated that the financial burden of EDC exposure in the EU was around 207 billion euros annually in costs related to IQ loss, intellectual disability, autism, ADD, obesity, cryptochidism, I'm not even sure what that is, infertility, and mortality associated with reduced testosterone levels. Now, those reports are probably a little overly negative. I can't imagine 207 billion euros annually is like really a robust number that they came up with, but we'll just say it's costing their economies annually.
Right.
And the basic message is that these EDCs, they're not good for you. And the more you get exposed to them, the worse it is. So it's like a cumulative thing.
So they're hard to get rid of once you have them? Is that the deal?
That's not really clear because they're all kind of different. Your body metabolizes them different. So that part isn't clear.
Okay.
In time, I think as regulations catch up, they're probably going to be done away with. But there's always this, gap between exposure and when regulations catch up and kind of get rid of these things.
Right.
So if you think of like cigarettes back in the day where even doctors were recommending them, if you figured out that cigarettes cause lung cancer, and there were definitely rumors that cigarettes cause lung cancer. I know there were rumors because there were a lot of official denials that cigarettes cause lung cancer.
Right.
Which is funny. There was a quote I heard the other day that no rumor is true until it's denied officially or something like that.
That is beautiful.
Which is kind of funny. Anyway.
That's beautiful.
So there were definitely denials. So there were rumors that it caused lung cancer. But if you figured it out that cigarettes were bad, on your own, you could quit, and it was probably decades before the real truth was known. So I think that's kind of what we're dealing with. We're in a similar situation with these EDCs. The evidence is mounting on how bad these are, and eventually they will be gone. But right now, you're on your own with what your exposure is.
Oh, boy. One more thing.
One more thing. Yes, the culture of fear.
Well, I mean, you have to know how to be able to avoid these things and be conscious of them too, which is why we're here in the first place. So I do appreciate you shedding light on them. I just want to know what I can do to stay away.
Yep, there's a lot you can do, and it sucks, but this is the world we live in. These are the choices we've made, and so you either put your head in the sand or you do something about it.
Where's this sand you speak of? Oh, wait. It's everywhere.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different EDCs out there, and there's even more possible quote-unquote EDCs. According to the Environmental Working Group, in 2013, these were the 12 worst. BPA, dioxin, atrazine, phthalates, perchlorate, fire retardants like polybrominated diethyl esters, or PBDEs, lead, mercury, arsenic, PFCs, organophosphate pesticides, and glycol ethers.
Oh, my.
They just sound wonderful, right?
It sounds like nightmares incarnate.
Yeah, you could put those in like a little salt shaker and just over your food. All right. So how do we get exposed to these? There are 10 common routes of exposure as identified by the Endocrine Society. And I think the best way to deal with these routes is kind of slowly over time to make changes. Like I said earlier, the way these impact you is cumulative. So a lot of these, they know that if you get over a certain amount, they're bad for you. And so the regulations are like byproduct, like you can't put more than this in there.
Right.
Or you can't be exposed to this much.
You would think any amount, once they know that it's bad for you at a certain amount.
It's not really how it works. It's more like, well, what amount causes things that are bad
Right.
will expose lower.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the research that we've done. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So making a change on this is it's not like all of a sudden, where you can just change your life. I mean, I guess you could. It's going to lower your burden, and if you can lower your burden enough over time, then it's going to make a difference. So if you make a big change right now, it's not like, oh wow, I feel amazing, I stopped using, I don't know, plastic or something like that. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
All right, so you ready?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, so first are personal care products. This means shampoos, conditioners, moisturizers, and cosmetics. So mainstream versions of these products, like what you would buy at Walmart or Safeway, most have EDCs that are associated with testicular cancer, genital deformations, low sperm counts, and infertility. You can avoid this by switching to organic and natural products, which are very easy to get from places like Whole Foods or Sprouts. Now, I think the rule from the first weight loss episode about getting things with fewer ingredients. That's going to be helpful here.
Yes.
So like to give you an example, instead of using soft soap, liquid hand soap, which everybody recognizes, is in like every airport, is everywhere. It has a bunch of chemicals in it. You could use Dr. Bronner's hand soap, which you can practically eat. It's just full of organic oils, and I think the sudsing agent is potassium hydroxide or something like that. So
it's beautiful stuff. I love that stuff.
Yeah, and you can do the same with your cosmetics. You can do the same with your personal care products. The natural stuff, it works just as well, and pretty much just as well, and you can avoid that exposure.
Seems like a no-brainer.
Yep, pretty easy.
But you have to know that you're looking for it. If you don't even know that there's something you're supposed to avoid, that's why this is so great that we're talking about this, because people don't know.
People don't know. And the cost is an aspect of it. So there is more cost, but it's not what it used to be.
Right.
It's actually gotten a lot better in recent years. So
completely. I mean, you can buy a gallon of Dr. Bronner's, and just even if you watered that down, I have one in my shower. It's been there for 6 years. So, I mean, it's not all economics. There are viable options out there for sure.
Yeah. So the second route of EDCs is water, and we could probably do a whole podcast about getting good quality water. And it obviously depends on where you live, but in general, you do not want to be drinking water straight from the tap. You can get pesticides, trace amounts of prescription drugs, arsenic, a lot of other EDCs in there.
That's terrible.
That I mentioned earlier. So my personal approach to this is I have 2 sources of water. I get non-fluoridated, no fluoride spring water delivered to my house from Arrowhead. And I use this for cooking mostly, but also drinking sometimes. And I also order Evian water from Amazon. And I use Evian just for drinking. And surprisingly, it's relatively inexpensive if you order from Amazon. Everyone thinks, oh my gosh, Evian, it's so pricey. It's so nice. It's a great water. But right now, you can get from Amazon a case of Evian water, 12 1-liter bottles for like $12 or $13.
And when I come in here to do the podcast, he's got a bottle of Evian weight. I was like, wow, this is a classy operation. He doesn't mess around.
That's right. You think it's nice, but it's cheap.
But the water is fantastic.
That's right. So it's basically $1 a day. Like I go through 1 liter of those things a day. And I think Fiji's also a really good water. Like Evian, they have good amounts of minerals. I'm not really sure on Arrowhead. So
what's your feeling on, because we have a lot of local water stores too that do their own purification.
Yeah.
And then people can fill it up and bypass the whole plastic process. I know that I have a glass container. Don't ask me how often I fill it up, but you do have that option as well. I mean,
yeah.
You never has to touch plastic.
Yeah. So the filtration, like the RO, reverse osmosis and stuff, my personal opinion is I don't like it. It doesn't react well to my body. Like if I drink RO, what they'll say is take reverse osmosis water, which takes everything out of the water, and then add minerals back in.
Right.
When I do that, I have to pee like every 15 minutes. I don't know why, but my body just does not hold on to reverse osmosis water. And so for me, the best option is spring water.
That's funny because I primarily only drink distilled water.
Seriously.
And I have a coworker that she's like, you have to get more minerals. It's Michelle. Sorry, Michelle, if you're listening to this. You have to put minerals in your body. That distilled water is terrible for you. That's sounds nothing like her.
Not at all. Yeah.
But the inflection is there.
Yeah, I hear you.
But so I'm starting to do that a little bit more because I do know that it removes everything, but at the same time, it doesn't.
Do you have to pee all the time?
All the time.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go, man. That might be it. Switch to spring water. You might not have to pee all the time.
See, that's why this podcast, not just for the listeners out there, but I'm benefiting every week.
Good.
And I thank you, sir.
I will admit that if Evian was not just $1 a day, I probably wouldn't buy it. It'd probably be too expensive. But because it's cheap, Evian water is really nice. Tastes great.
It is so good.
Nice minerals in it.
And there is something about water in Arizona. I think we taste it more than other places.
You're probably
I really
right.
Do. We appreciate the fine taste of a good water.
That's true. So anyway, there's also people who they do filtration systems onto their house, like reverse osmosis or water softeners. I just don't want to jump in the weeds on those because there's people who install things that spin the water in a vortex and that's supposed to do something. We're not even going to get into those, but it's another option. Basically, the bottom line, don't drink water out of the tap.
I think we can all concur on that.
Yeah. All right. The third route of EDC exposure is canned goods and nonstick food packaging. So in 2017, the Center for Environmental Health surveyed canned goods, and they found that around 40% of them still had BPA, which is one of the EDCs. So I think if you're buying organic, you're probably safe on that, but canned is just not good as fresh, so stick with fresh when you can.
Fresh.
Yeah. The fourth route is a big one, and that is conventionally raised produce and meat, poultry, and dairy products. So this is it. This is all the mass-produced food out there that is not local and organic. This is concentrated animal feeding operations, or CAFO, like those documentaries you see on Netflix about the chicken stuffed in the cages and stuff.
It does not make me want to run out to Cane's.
No, and I find this one tough because it's basically an indictment of our entire food chain. Animals are raised with hormones and antibiotics. Other chemicals are used after the meat is harvested. Produce is coated with like a lot of different pesticides, and there's runoff that will disrupt your endocrine system. So it's tough. However, there is evidence out there that organic has a lot less pesticides used than conventional, and I think that's the real strength of using organic food.
Right.
However, non-organic food producers will say that there's not enough pesticides in the non-organic produce to matter. But again, you're kind of on your own here, and food's not the only source of EDCs. So I don't know.
Tricky.
It's a tough question. And organic is not perfect either. Over time, like lobbying efforts in Washington, they have eased the restrictions on the pesticides that you can use with organic. Not only that, often organic produce comes from other countries, and who knows what
Exactly.
corners they're cutting, right?
China's like, we don't read that. We just do. That's terrible impression, by the way.
What was that?
I don't even
that
know.
wasn't Chinese at all.
I was like, that's
was-
put the heads in the wood.
That's Luigi. Yeah.
It's not good. But you're right. The restrictions. Who knows? Who
Who
knows?
knows? Well, like I get pears, and I see that they come from Argentina. If I'm a farmer in Argentina and I'm like barely getting by, and crop is getting ravaged by some weeds or some bugs, and I have a little spray that could take care of it. Am I really going to say, no, we must raise a crop that Americans can trust and not erode the USDA organic label? I don't know. I don't think that's how the world works.
I don't think so. I think we know that that's not how it works.
Yeah. So even organic is questionable.
So buy local when the option is available.
Sure. I mean, if you can buy from a farmer's market, that's great. But a lot of times they ship it in from other places too. It's not local.
Don't tell me
farmer's
that.
market.
You're ruining my...
Like the big ones, McClendon's and all that stuff.
Yeah,
like they're definitely not picking that. I mean, some are local, but
You're right.
yeah, you can't
great.
be perfect.
Just do your research.
Well, my approach to this is you just do the best you can do. So if like you do all 10 of these routes that we're saying today, and you like really clean up your EDC exposure, then eating out at restaurants and eating conventional food from time to time, I think it's okay. Your body can handle some EDCs. Organic isn't perfect, but it's the best you can do. So we do our best, and we lower our exposure to these things.
Totally.
And as for practical steps, you want to wash produce, even if it's organic. If you're going to be eating the skin, they still get pesticides on them. I really like Costco because you can often get organic fruits and vegetables in bulk for really good prices, like, prices that are as good as conventional produce at a regular grocery store.
Okay.
So like I was mentioning, those pears, like I love pears. I think organic pears are $10 for 5 or 6 pounds, which is really good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And also there's certain organic foods that are less expensive than other organic foods. Like it's probably going to vary by your location, but for example, you can get organic russet potatoes that are like 5 pounds for a couple bucks. Whereas organic sweet potatoes are way pricier, but you just have to kind of find what the good deals are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's right for your body too, because sweet potatoes compared to regular potatoes, it's worth the offset cost. One actually has nutritional value. I mean, like sweet potato. We're not going to go off on a sweet potato tangent, right? You said potatoes, and my mind just went, I haven't eaten dinner yet. Let's talk more about potatoes. Okay, onward and upward.
I guess you don't like potatoes, right?
I love them.
Jeez.
Starch.
So the fifth route is high mercury fish. Any fish that eats other fish is going to build up mercury over time. The worst offenders are like sharks, swordfish, king mackerel, sea bass, tuna. You really want to avoid canned tuna. And that's, interestingly enough, when I was doing research for this, that's not me saying that. The EPA says you should avoid canned tuna.
What?
Right? The Environmental Protection Agency says don't eat canned tuna.
Oh my God. Well, how come, why are they allowed to sell it?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, so you just want to be careful in selecting what fish you eat. Wild-caught salmon is really good. You want to avoid farm-raised fish, as they often have more contaminants than wild. So I see sometimes in restaurants, their salmon dish is Atlantic salmon. There is no such thing as Atlantic salmon.
There's not?
Salmon do not live in the Atlantic. That is a farm-raised salmon with a nice name on it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Other good food choices are like sardines, anchovies, mackerel, herring. They're smaller, they don't get the mercury buildup. Like
I've heard
other
that more
fish.
because that's what they source omegas from, the smaller fish, for that same reason.
Yeah, and they're really cheap. So,
there you go.
yeah, the Peruvian anchovy, that's like where all Nordics fish oil comes from.
Little known no spoilers, but yeah, Nordic fish oil comes from
Nordic.
Right.
The one that is from Nordic regions comes from Peru. Just to let you know.
I'm plugging my ears right now.
That's right. Marketing at its best.
That's too funny.
The sixth route is kitchenware. Heat plus plastic is a big no-no. Plastic contains BPA, and it will leach into your food when it's heated. So you don't want plastic. Another no-go is nonstick pans. When nonstick pans are heated, they release, this is a tough one, perfluoroctanoic acid, which has been linked to thyroid disease, infertility, development, and reproductive problems.
Yeah, I know. We've known for a long time that stuff is not good, but here's another reason to avoid them.
Oh, yeah.
No, what you're saying.
Oh, I thought you were going to give me another one.
No, I mean, the
Yeah.
known carcinogenic materials in there forever, too, so.
Yeah. When you're cooking, you just kind of want to think like 1950s, minus all the lead paint that they used to use. You want to use wooden spoons, wooden spatulas.
Yes.
You want a nice stainless steel cookware that's
Right.
that's not nonstick. I think investing in some really nice skillets and pots is actually going to pay off for a long
Completely.
time. I have a nice all-clad pan that I've been using for years. I think it was like $100 or $120. So it was a little pricey, but you get what you pay for, and I've been using this thing forever.
They're amazing.
You really want high-quality steel, too. Like, I've heard that the low-quality metal cookware leach metals into your food, so I think it's worth avoiding the bad metals.
How would an iron pan fit into that? That's a question. Because I know that some
That
people
is a
actually
good
get
question.
iron from the iron pan.
Yeah, that is, what's it called? The where they used to they never would wash them and it just would get that layer.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, the iron cookware. So, I'm torn on iron because some people obviously need the iron. If you don't need the iron just ages you faster.
Really?
Yeah, you don't want excess iron. It just ages you quicker. So
It's all adding up right now in my mind. Okay, no more iron cookware.
no, but if you need, it's not like you should avoid iron.
Right.
It's just something that if you get too much of it, it causes oxidative stress. So, and you can actually get around that. If you have high iron, go give blood. Yeah, that's a great way to lower your iron stores.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, some people also, they cook in glass, ceramic, or enameled cast iron pans. And for storing food, you want to avoid Tupperware. You want to get glass containers. You want to use glass cups. You basically want glass, wood, and good quality metal in your kitchen.
Yeah.
They're all relatively inert. They're not going to add mystery chemicals into your food.
Like plastics so often do. I mean, it's a crapshoot with plastics.
Yeah. I mean, I use plastic sometimes to put fruit in. It's not a huge deal. You don't
Yeah.
have to be crazy anal about it.
I am weird OCD anal about it.
Really?
I have the glass, yeah. But it's weird because they have rubber tops, but it's a glass. It sits in glass. So.
Yeah. Yeah, all my glass containers have plastic tops,
Yeah.
but it's just not, the hot food isn't sitting in there.
Exactly.
So the seventh route is cleaning products. This is kind of a no-brainer. If you're rubbing chemicals all over every surface of your house, there's going to be an issue. They often have fragrances that act as EDCs, so you want to buy natural cleaning products to avoid these issues. And speaking of fragrance, a lot of candles have fragrances that are endocrine disrupting as well. So you want to look for candles and fragrances that use essential oils and not, mystery chemicals for scents.
Yes, very, very easily tricked in the candle department. Something that smells sweet, you put it in your, not only the candle itself, but the wicks.
Really?
Yes, the wicks are lead laden and have all kinds
Really?
of. Yes.
I had no idea about
Oh
that.
yes, the wicks are bad.
I just know some candles give me a headache, and so it's like, yeah, avoid.
Paraffins. Yeah.
Yeah. So this route, it used to be pretty tough, but just the plethora of natural cleaning products available for decent prices, it actually makes this pretty easy. And this also includes laundry detergent. I use a brand called Charlie's Soap. Super clean, no scent. I haven't tried them, but there's also out there Nellie's Laundry Soap and Molly's Suds. I don't know what's with the names on those.
Yeah, they're all just first names of people.
There must have been some focus group testing, and they figured out that personal names or something is what sells. Borax is also a nice cleaning agent that is natural. You can add it to your laundry loads. You can use it to clean toilets and dishes. It's really versatile. So just a little bit of looking at what natural cleaners are out there, I think it's going to really pay off.
Totally.
Yeah. The 8th route is an odd one. It's household dust. Yeah, and the reason is that often fire retardant chemicals shed from furniture, mattresses, and carpets, and those chemicals end up in the dust. And so this is new to me.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really know how bad this is. You know,
I always thought dust was just skin.
That's what I thought too. Yeah. Well, you can avoid it by looking for furniture and carpets that are quote-unquote green and don't use these chemicals. I also imagine if you clean houses for a living, you might want to use some type of dust mask or something where you're cleaning a lot of dust.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It makes sense.
Yeah. The 9th route is office supplies. So toners and ink cartridges from printers and paper treated with bleaches or BPA should be handled with care.
Great.
And the final 10th one is interesting. It's receipts from stores.
I always knew something was off about those.
It's just wild. So thermal paper is coated with BPA. And handling this type of thermal paper is enough to increase the levels of BPA in your body. So research has shown that holding a receipt for just 5 seconds is enough to transfer BPA onto your skin, and the transfer amount is 10 times higher if your skin is wet or greasy, meaning like lotion or whatever.
Thank God we're transferring to a receiptless society, because those things, not only do I hold them in my hand, dude, they'll go through my wash. So you know that stuff's going into my other clothes. Like, I wash receipts more than I wash socks.
That's that smell.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Spilling with BPAs out of my pores.
Not only that, when people put receipts into their wallet or purse, the BPA tends to transfer onto the currency. So there's been some tests run on, I think, 21 different currencies, and there was BPA at significant levels on all of them. And that's not like how they were made.
That's what I was going to ask. Are
no,
they made?
No, they're not. It's just from receipts.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. I don't know. This one sounded ridiculous even to me. But apparently it is a thing. So to avoid this, go for paperless receipts. And if you're a cashier, you may want to wear gloves, especially if you're pregnant or of childbearing age.
Wow, man. That's a mind blower.
It's a little bit crazy.
Okay. I love that.
It seems
I
a little
hate
ridiculous.
it, but I love it that you told me.
So that's the list. That's all 10 routes. And I think if you can kind of slowly over time move away from these EDCs, you're going to be better off. So my theory of how this kind of works comes from when I used to trade the stock market. And there was this saying that you can kind of get taken out in trading by sharks or piranhas. So the sharks would be where you lost a lot of money really fast, take a big chunk out of you.
Right.
But the piranhas were where they, kind of dribbled out slowly. They nibbled out. And I think these EDCs are kind of like that. They're like these little piranhas that are nibbling away at your health. And if you get rid of one or two, it really doesn't make much difference.
Right.
And neither does adding one or two. It doesn't make much difference.
But they are accumulative.
But if you get a lot of them, if you have tons of them, you're going to start running into problems. And there are problems. There was this Daily Mail article that I was reading, and I'll link to it, and it said 1 in 6 women in the UK are infertile or have fertility issues. And some of these women were infertile for quote-unquote mystery reasons. Well, maybe the mystery reason is because of these chemicals that are scientifically proven to disrupt your fertility. And that's really who these chemicals are going to matter to the most, is the pregnant women and children. These chemicals are really going to hit them hard. And if you're a guy and, every day you come home from work and you slam down 7 beers, like swapping out your plastic spatulas for wooden ones, that's like not your biggest priority, you know? It's not going to make much of a difference. These chemicals, they're really going to hit the sensitive people.
Right.
That's who it matters the most to.
But it should matter to everyone. You just don't know it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They will more and more.
Exactly. Especially if they're listening right now.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Because it is something you don't think about all the time, but it's always present.
It is. I mean, we've really kind of junked up our society with a lot of crap that wasn't around just a few decades ago. You know, we just kind of threw it in there, and it's like, well, this is what makes making products easier. And we did some initial safety tests, and it looks all right. But there's a cumulative effect. That's really what it is. It's that if you get exposed, if you just get exposed to one, it's no problem. But if you're exposed to a lot of them, then it is an issue. And the reason why it's under weight loss is one of the biggest things that came up over and over again was obesity. That was one of the biggest things from all these EDCs. So,
and in the microcosm, it's bad for the individual. In the macrocosm, the earth. Where is this stuff all going? It's going into the planet.
Yeah.
It's tainting the soil. It's tainting future generations of plants and people, and that's the real big detriment here I see happening.
Yeah, I don't know how they're broken down. I don't know how they, I mean, each one is different, and
I don't think they float away. I think that these seem like the kind of things that are prescient.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't want to be a doomsayer.
No,
kids, you're going to clean this place up, so don't worry about it.
No, we're going to move away from them. It's just
Right.
going to take us a little while. There's just going to be that gap where a bunch of people get hurt, and then we say, "Oh, we had no idea that this was happening," and then we'll clean it up and we'll stop using this stuff. So it'll change.
Yep, everything always does.
It just sometimes takes a while, and we don't want you to be one of the casualties in that wait.
Right.
Yeah.
So we meet you in the pause.
There you go. Yeah. Could have named this podcast Pausecast. All right, I'm done. I'm done.
He just dropped the mic. He literally just dropped the mic. That's $80.
Cool. All right. Well, you done, man?
I am.
Hey, thanks a lot. And if you have any questions, quackspodcast@gmail.com. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for listening. I'm working on our website. We're working on getting new stuff out to you. So appreciate the listen.
Thank you very much. And be well.
Bye.